The Johnsky is a YouTube channel run by and run for people over the age of 13. People under the age of 13 should click off of this video right now, or watch with a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't scare me!
Milt is freaking today, militiaman. My name is King Prime, and welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the newer Star Wars Vintage Collection figures, that being the Star Wars Vintage Collection The Mandalorian Artillery Stormtrooper. Yes, indeed, one of the newer troop builder figures that we've given from Hasbro, as well as fleshing out the Imperial forces in the new Disney canon. Before we take a look at the figure, however, let's take a quick look at the packaging. Up front here, we have a nice still image from the Book of Boba Fett of the Artillery Stormtrooper loading up a stunk. At the top here, we have the Mandalorian logo in nice blood red. Artillery Stormtrooper is the name, with a blue backing for the pill and the nameplate. Down at the bottom here, we have the Kenner logo. On the back, we have other figures released in this wave, that being the Golden Saturday Faction figures himself, Obi-Wan, who I've reviewed, the Klatooinian Raider, who I have no intention of getting, Luke Skywalker, who I've reviewed, Velasartha, who I will review at some point, Artillery Stormtrooper, self-explanatory, Cassian Andor, who I will be reviewing soon as well, and Cal Kestis, who I have also reviewed. At the bottom, we have some legal jargon, some more legal jargon, and that is about it. I say it in every single video I do, my friends, but you only really care about the packaging if you are a carded collector, of which I'm not. I'm here to open and review toys, and that's just what I'm going to do. Freeze frame. Freeze frame unfreeze, and here is the Artillery Stormtrooper and all of his accessories. Before we take a look at the figure itself, let's take a peek at those accessories. First off, we have the standard issue weapon of all of the Imperial military, the E11 blaster, which is done up in that sort of off-gray brownish color, similar to what we saw with the Morak, Din Djarin, and Migs Mayfield. It's just the same E11 we've gotten with pretty much every standard Stormtrooper and or Imperial release as of late. Nothing has changed very much in that regard. Of course, the Stormtrooper can hold it, as every good Stormtrooper can. Just gotta get the handle into his hand and put his finger on the trigger, and there you go, he's ready to blast some rebel scum. Also included with the figure is the mortar itself, which is just a regular mortar tube, which is attached to a ball-jointed base, or the ball joint on the tube itself is attached into the base. You can adjust the range of the tube itself, as well as the bipod, which is also on a ball joint, which is very nice. So very good posability for this piece itself. It's done up in the same kind of off-gray, brownish plastic that the blaster was done in. Yay for continuity. Also included is a backpack, which the Stormtrooper can wear. As you can see, there's a half circle peg, which can just plug in there and around his back, which works pretty well. As you can see on the back, though, there is a little rack here of 4 thermal detonators, which can be removed. All 4 of them can be removed, but for the sake of time, I'm only going to remove 1. Also, fun fact, the thermal detonator on the Artillery Stormtrooper's belt has been removed, and now he has 4 of them to launch in the mortar, which, of course, can be loaded, like so. And it just kind of shakes around in there. It's not in there very tight at all. You can just take it out and put it in at your leisure. Very nice. Look down the mortar barrel. Your drill sergeant will love you for that. And of course, these can all be stored in the backpack, as I stated earlier, which can be stored on his back, which is very nice and thoughtful. I actually really like this. It's not often that we get accessory storage on a figure, aside from like a holster, and having all 4 charges for the mortar is very nice. I like that a lot. But getting on to the figure himself, the Artillery Stormtrooper is done in the same exact mold that we've seen, and that I've kind of made a point about talking about on the channel, of the ever so elusive Star Wars The Vintage Collection Walmart exclusive A New Hope Stormtrooper mold, which is just impossible to find. I've never seen one in a Walmart, literally ever. But this, as well as the Flame Trooper, both have the same exact design. It's literally the only difference between this and the Rogue One and the Mandalorian releases of the Stormtroopers. I want to say the Mandalorian releases of the Stormtroopers. I mean, I'm talking about the Remnant Stormtroopers. Is that the feet have ankle pivots. And that is it. That is the only difference. Of course, another difference with the Artillery Stormtrooper in this case, though, is the beautiful yellow paint all over his armor, and I mean everywhere. It's even lined on the sides of his shoulder pieces, as well as his biceps, his forearms, and his hands, all down his thighs, and even his ankles and his knee. It's all covered in yellow paint. Of course, he does have a very prominent pauldron here, which is done up in that same yellow. It's very soft plastic, and it can be removed if you don't really like this, or you want to have just another Artillery Stormtrooper without the pauldron to kind of be like a loader to have another pack, whatever. I'm thinking in army builder terms. I know a lot of you aren't. It's just a thing I do. Another funny detail that I noticed is that this Stormtrooper has socks, which is something I noticed in my Phase 1 clone for 4-pack review. It said those clones have socks, and this Stormtrooper doesn't. They're not supposed to, simply because that's not the way their boots work. Their boots actually come up to the shin. It's really weird, but it's continuity. I'm not opposed to it. It's just very strange to me. And the bottom of his feet are painted, which is standard, but the socks is very strange. As for the articulation of this figure, you do have a nice dumbbell joint at the head. As you can see, it's 2 pieces in there. Very strange. I've never had one of these pop off at the taller of the ball joints. Very strange. But you can get a very nice range of motion. Can get it going with the neck joint there. You can have a full outward range of motion. Well, not quite full, but almost full range of motion at the shoulder, as well as a 360-degree rotation. There is a pretty average elbow bend here, as well as a cut there at the elbow, so you can get a swivel. There's a swivel at the wrist, and of course an in and out joint at the wrist on the left hand, and an up and down on the right, as every gun-wielding figure should have. Hasbro. Continuing though, we do have a nice ab crunch, so you can get a very wide range of motion at the waist. Nothing at the hips proper, however. You do have the dreaded hinged thighs, which I absolutely hate, and you can see this, mind the angle here. You can see on both hips you do have that awful joint that you have to rotate out and then bend forward to get any form of forward movement in the legs, which I despise with every fiber of my being. I wish these figures had ball joints, and I'm sure at some point we'll get ball jointed Stormtrooper hips. It's just today is not that day, and that is annoying to me. We do, of course, have a bend at the knee, just about 90 degrees there, as well as a bend at the ankle, which can go that far back and that far forward, and the aforementioned ankle pivot. Very standard articulation for this Stormtrooper. Let's do a quick freeze frame so we can get on to the size comparison freeze frame.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Freeze frame on freeze. Here is the Artillery Stormtrooper next to my custom modified golden standard of action figures himself, Darth Vader, who of course he is on a stand, and all of these figures that I have to compare are on stands. Here he is next to a custom Mandalorian figure, of which is my own creation. That's how he stacks up to that. And here he is next to Din Djarin, who is going to be right there. So that's how they all stack up together. Just essentially basic figure height, nothing super outstanding like with Vader. Anyway, that's it for the size comparison. Let me tell you what I really think about this figure in my final thoughts. Freeze frame.
I'll be back later.
Hey, where are you two going?
It's Wednesday.
Freeze frame on freeze. So overall, this figure isn't really anything special. That's not to say that it's bad by any means. It's just an average Stormtrooper figure. If you've seen any review of any Stormtrooper recently, this is exactly the same figure. The only difference is that it has that fancy paint the fancy accessories, and the fancy little socks on his feet, which I'm still so tickled about. I think that's absolutely hilarious. But it's nothing really to write home about. Overall, this is an average figure, kind of brought down by slightly outdated engineering of the hips, but really uplifted by the accessories it comes with and the coloring on it, all for the price point of a basic Star Wars Vintage Collection figure, that being, I think, now $17, which is outrageous to me. But, you know, that's how inflation goes, I guess. Personally, though, I like this figure. It's going to fit in great with my Imperial Army, because I am, as I've said in previous videos, a filthy, filthy army builder. So this guy's going to fit in perfectly fine with all those. But if you like this figure, or you like Star Wars, the Empire, artillery, what have you, the Mandalorian, make sure you share this video with your friends, share it with all your Facebook groups, all that good stuff. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Keeps helping the channel grow, keeps helping me making these videos. That's going to be pretty much it for this video, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching, and as always, peace.